In 3, 2, 1, action.
Welcome back. We are back for our Hendrick Hudson Board of Education meeting for Wednesday, October 22nd. May we all please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll begin with audience comments on non-agenda items. At this time, let's look at our agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as stated?
Motion to approve the agenda as stated. Second.
All in favor? And that brings us to the most wonderful time, which is our board recognition. And tonight we are here at Blue Mountain Middle School, and I will turn it over to Superintendent Tremblay.
Thank you, President Silverman. Yes, we are very happy to be here at Blue Mountain Middle School. And I would like to ask our host this evening, Dr. William Toro, to please come to the podium and introduce the next part of our meeting, which is student recognition. Dr. Toro.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to the Board of Education, Mr. Tremblay, and your cabinet. Thank you for coming here to our beautiful school at Blue Mountain Middle School. Thank you to the staff that's here. I want to acknowledge Ms. Gagne, Ms. Brandt, to our parents that are here, and to our amazing students. Blue Mountain Middle School is alive and well and thriving, and we're so excited to have you here. Now, this presentation is not about me, my leadership, it's about the kids, and that is the central focus of why we are here. So with that being said, I'm going to bring up Ms. Gagne to introduce our students for their presentation. Let's give them a round of applause, please.
Thank you, Dr. Toro. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure. I'm pleased to be here tonight. The student organization co-presidents are here, and they're going to talk a little bit about what we have planned for this year. We have 52 students that are a part of student organization this year. We had a really large number of students apply, larger than we've ever had, which is fantastic. Unfortunately, we were not able to take everybody because it would have been 80 kids. So certainly encourage the students to apply next year and to be a part of it. It's a great program. So I'm going to introduce Elise Van Decker and Reagan O'Gara to talk a little bit more about what we have planned for this year. And again, thanks for having us.
Thanks, Ryan.
Hi, I'm Megan O'Gara. I'm Elise Van Decker, and we would like to thank the Board of Education and the Superintendent for having us tonight. And thank you to our parents for always supporting us as we go along. Tonight we have a few key things that we're going to be doing this year in the student organization to share with you all. We have 2 dances planned for this year. We have a Halloween dance, which is this Friday, October 24th. The dance starts at 6:30, and there's a $5 admission fee. Students are invited to dress up in Halloween costumes, and snacks and drinks are available for purchase. And for the spring dance on Friday, March 20th, the dance starts at 6:30, and there's a $5 admission fee. Snacks and drinks will also be available for purchase there. For this year's first Spirit Week, it will be the week of Thanksgiving, the 24th to the 26th, and we will have a school spirit day where students are encouraged to wear blue and white to show their silver pride. The other themes will be determined by the popular vote. We are having a Thanksgiving food drive this year. From November 3rd to November 24th, we will be collecting canned goods and non-perishable items to donate to those in need for Thanksgiving. And the student organization will put together those baskets to give to families on November 25th. For our Hallway of Heroes, in the beginning of November, students can bring in pictures of family members and friends who are veterans. For Veterans Day, we will decorate the hallways with the pictures we receive in honor of all of those who fought for our country. As well as the hallways, we will put them on televisions in the Blue Mountain Middle School. And this year, the student organization in the middle school will take a trip to the high school to meet with their student government, to work alongside their student government and do team building activities and observe what a high school student government is like. And lastly, this year's student organization is taking a trip to Boston, and on this year's trip, we will be visiting historical sites and partake in team building activities. The trip will take place from June 1st to the 3rd. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you to our amazing student organization. It is an honor and a privilege to work with you. And again, just please get one more round of applause. They're amazing. These are our future leaders right there. And thank you to the parents. Thank you, Mom, for all you do to support your children. Thank you again. Go nuts.
So, not only do you get to come and present and share some of the great things that you were leading at Blue Mountain, but we do have some certificates for you, because we know you could have been anywhere else tonight, but you're assisting Dr. Toro. So if you could come up, I'd like to present you with a certificate recognizing your service here this evening. So Reagan. We'll take a photo with the principal and then we'll ask you. You can stay right, where's the best? Let's do it right here.
Yeah, I think with that front of the podium.
Oh, from the podium.
All right, perfect. Great.
Can you go on? All right. And then, ladies, I'll ask you to stand to the podium. I have one quick question. I'm going to go back to my seat passes.
Do they need a chaperone?
The board president has a question. So,
I said first. Parents first.
Do you need a chaperone for the trip?
so I'm interested, not knowing that you would have been, as part of your role in student government, presenting at a Board of Education meeting on a random Wednesday night, but you did a fantastic job explaining in a very succinct way a lot of the work that you're doing at Blue Mountain Middle School. What inspired both of you, other than knowing you'd present at a board meeting and get wonderful fancy certificates, to become leaders in the building and be student government leaders? I'm sure you both have very packed school schedules, extracurricular schedules, life schedules. What inspired you both, if you don't mind me asking?
There's a lot of stuff that needs to be improved or can be fixed in our school, and if you see those things, I think it's pretty important that you try and do something about them. And that's pretty much, I wanted to change some major things, some problems that I saw, and make a difference.
Thank you.
I agree with Reagan, and also I've always liked being a leader and taking charge of things, so I thought it would be like a fun thing to do. And I also agree with Reagan how I like to fix problems that I see.
Thank you both very much. Thank you.
Just to say one thing, not only do they come here tonight to present to us, they also presented last night at the Blue Mountain Middle School PTA meeting in front of another set of adults, and they did a fantastic job there as well.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. And thank you for setting the tone for the rest of the presentations we have tonight. You are more than welcome to stay, Dr. Toro and Beth and Aline, but you don't have to. We'll take a pause at this moment if you want to excuse yourself and go back to homework or any of the other fun things that you have going on this evening. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
So that concludes the student recognition portion of tonight's agenda.
Okay, and moving right along, we have another presentation on our debt update with capital markets.
Yes, at this time, I would like to invite our Assistant to the Superintendent for Financial Continuity and Controls, Ms. Jill Figuerella, to the podium to introduce our first of two presentations that deal primarily with business office functions this evening, to introduce our partners from capital markets to talk about our debt profile and the role that they play in supporting our school district. Ms. Figuerella.
Hi, good evening. So tonight we have a presentation from Capital Markets. We have Richard Tortora and Diana Castaneda. They'll be going over our current debt and then some information on future planning and how we're getting ready to finance our new capital project that's in progress right now.
Thank you.
Good evening. I also would like to thank my parents. Those young ladies did a great job. So late in July, Jill reached out, asked us to prepare a memo on the district's debt capacity to understand what the impact would be of issuing new debt. And the slide that we prepared just gives the scope of where we are. The district is currently rated A+ with a negative outlook. And this outlook was assigned by Moody's, S&P. I'm a former Moody's analyst, so I tend to name my former employer. But so S&P assigned this rating because they believe that at the time, with the loss of pilots with Indian Point and the cessation fund not bridging the gap, there was some pressure in the district. So, Jill wanted us to take a thorough look. So we can go to the next slide. What the ratings mean. So the three major categories for school districts: AAA, which is the highest rating, AA, and within that AA, there's three modifiers: AA+, AA flat, AA minus, single A plus, single A flat, single A minus, and then BBB. So those are all investment grade ratings. In New York, most districts are rated between AA and A, which is where the district is. And you see the value of the credit rating is what it costs to borrow money. So the higher you are on the rating scale, the less burden on your taxpayers. Any questions or? Okay, so next slide. So the district will be issuing the first phase, 7.5, is it, Jill?
Yes.
7.55, a band in the coming weeks as part of the $30 million 2024 capital vote. The district's profile, from a debt perspective, very healthy. And compared to your peers, you're below average debt levels. So, and with debt coming off, it's a very good time for the district to issue debt. The concerns that S&P raised about loss of, pilot payments from Indian Point have been, offset in the last 2 years as the district has added to fund balance. I know we've had discussions about funding a capital reserve, Jill, which would be an additional strength that the district could put in place to kind of fortify its position. But yeah, generally speaking, the district will retire 55% of its outstanding debt within the next 6 years. So layering on additional debt will be key. What we've been working with the district to maximize local state aid is to layer the debt such that first it'll be a note, a 1-year note. We'll do a takeout with a bond in 2027, and then do another note and then a final bond issue. So, issuing debt in stages, communicating with the rating agencies will be very important. Richard, you want to add anything?
Sure.
And just one note, since I've been working with Jill, financials have never been released as timely as they have in the last 2 years. So kudos, Jill. That does reflect well on management and should be recognized.
Thank you. Just one or two things I wanted to comment on. One of the concerns with the rating agency was their expectation that you'd be drawing on fund balance. But due to your fiscal management, you actually added to your reserves in the last audit. So that's certainly contrary to what the rating agencies thought. So rather than have maybe a negative outlook on the credit rating, not that they've assigned that, that would be a credit positive event. Also, when you go in the market next week for notes, you're going to face good market conditions. We expect you'll probably get a half dozen bids for your notes, probably an interest rate of in the neighborhood of maybe 2.5%, 2.65%, something like that, which is very attractive. The interest rates that you pay to investors of your debt, of course, is tax exempt. So while they take the interest rate and report it, the interest earnings on their tax returns, they exclude it from taxation because it's not a taxable event, interest on tax exempt municipal securities. Again, market conditions are favorable. If you were going into the bond market right now, you'd also do very well. We expect you might be in the bond market next year when these notes mature. At that point, interest rates for bonds are probably, for your credit rating, probably 3.5% to 3.75%, so still very attractive. We all know that interest rates had gotten high over the last couple of years, as evidenced by the mortgage market, where a 30-year mortgage might be at 6.75%, so you're borrowing significantly less than that. And again, because of the tax-exempt status of your debt and your good credit rating, which, if you continue to build that fund balance, could likely improve because the underlying fundamentals of your credit rating, the wealth levels are very strong, your debt levels are very low, those all would lean towards you getting a better credit rating than you presently have. So hopefully if you continue in that direction, there'll be lower interest rates, more bidder activity, and good things to come for the district and its residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before I open it up to board questions, I just have a few of my own. First of all, thank you for being here this evening to help us understand our debt profile. I promised my grandma Briette, who was a survivor of the Depression, that I would never go into debt. How can we explain to those individuals who hear debt and think of a negative connotation when it comes to school districts, particularly when much of our community has been very good partners with us, rightfully so, concerned about our financials. What would you say to individuals who are concerned about a school district having debt?
Sure. Self-serving, but debt is a good thing. If you think about what you're doing, you're investing this capital project that you're about to undertake for $30 million. You're investing in improving the infrastructure. But those improvements will be enjoyed not only by the residents today and the students today, but the students for the next 10, 20, and 30 years. The New York State Legislature assigns a period of probable usefulness to a capital improvement for which you can issue debt. The type of improvements that you're going to be funding have a useful life of 30 years. And what that means is the expectation is before you have to replace them or significantly reconstruct them, 30 years could pass. So it would seem only reasonable that the folks that are going to benefit from these capital improvements should pay for it not just in 2026, 7, and 8, but in 36, 37, and 38. So it's an equitable way to distribute the expense of the improvements that everyone's going to enjoy.
Thank you. And then capital markets does not just look at our debt profile. Could you explain some of the other roles that you serve in the district and some of the work you've been doing with Jill to perhaps supplement some of the day-to-day operations that Jill has been doing with her team in the business office?
Okay, so just the 30 seconds on what our firm is. So Capital Markets Advisors, we're in our 24th year. We represent about 350 public jurisdictions across New York State, including about 150 school districts. Other things that we do, you're required to provide what's called continuing disclosure, and we're your dissemination agent for purposes of continuing disclosure. And what that means is every year we make available on the Municipal Security Rulemaking Board's website information about your audited financial statement. We provide annual update documents, so investors that are buying your securities have a good sense of what's going on an annual basis. Up until 10 years ago, unlike the traditional markets for equities, stocks and bonds, there was no way of knowing what was going on in a local jurisdiction other than when they issued debt and reading an official statement, because documents weren't readily available. One of the things we do as your dissemination agent, we make sure that investors and interested parties know what's going on in the school district. We also provide ongoing analysis of opportunities to refinance existing debt. We don't presently have an opportunity for that, but it's not unusual in a busy year we might refinance 20 or 30 outstanding bond issues for our client to generate savings. So we're always on the lookout for those opportunities. We also do lease financing. If you were doing, say, bus leases, we do financing for that. And our role is to act as your fiduciary. We have to put your interest above everyone else's, including our own, to make sure that you're getting, you're leveling the playing field between the school district and, quote, Wall Street, the bankers. And we do that. Our backgrounds are very diverse. There's a dozen of us on staff, professional people. I'm a former bond attorney and a former banker. Diana is a former banker, a former credit analyst, and municipal insurance expert. So we provide resources that you can access on an ongoing basis throughout the fiscal year, whether it's tax impact analysis resulting from a borrowing, or it's projections as to what a borrowing might cost based on different market conditions. We publish a monthly newsletter, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a whole myriad of services that you can avail yourselves of.
So every year during our budget presentation, we talk about the revenue side of our budget, and we have investments. Do you play any role in that?
We don't.
Okay.
We don't. You have to be a licensed investment advisor. The only things we do advise on is the investment of note and bond proceeds. So if you said, I'll give you for example, we just did work with a fire district in Rockland County that was building a new firehouse, and they don't have investment experience. So we are permitted to help them invest their bond proceeds. And what we advise them to do is lock in an 18-month investment so that the monies would be available when they needed it to build their building. But we captured rates about 2 months ago that was significantly higher than they are now. It was right before the Fed rate cut. So we locked them in at yields at about 4% for their money, as opposed to today, they'd get about 3.5%. So that extra half percentage point was something we were able to do for them because we know what market conditions are going to be.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Board, do we have any questions for our partners at Capital Markets?
Hi, thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome.
So just a quick question, because Mr. Trombley asked it a little bit, but when you hear like it's a good thing to take on debt, it feels scary to hear something like that. So my question is, how do you balance, we have the negative outlook because our pilot and because the cessation fund is unsure if we're going to get more money. How do you balance the recommendation to take on more debt with what our immediate next few years are going to hold in terms of the decreasing revenues?
Sure. More your area than mine, but I'm happy to address it. So your credit rating, which is very important because the higher your credit rating, the greater your market access, and you lower your cost of capital. So it's made up primarily of 4 components. Debt is only one of those components, and your debt is significantly lower than your peer group debt. Your wealth levels in terms of real property values and income levels is also higher than your peer group. So the underlying credit fundamentals for this school district are such that your credit rating should be a little higher, but the analysts have to be conservative and they have to look at what they think is going to happen down the road. So you've already proved them wrong in 1 year in that while they thought you were going to draw on your fund balance, you actually added to it. So that was the point I first made. The other components of your credit rating are your management team, the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, the consultant you bring on board, and OPEB liability, other post-employment benefit expenses, things like that. But for what happened with Indian Point, you would be rated higher. If you continue to perform the way you performed last year, your credit rating should trend upward, which is good that we're issuing notes this year, because notes are just a short-term debt obligation. When we issue bonds, your underlying credit rating is going to be even that much more important, because the bonds might be out for 20 or more years.
But you're saying a big factor is the fact that we didn't dip into the fund balance.
Oh, that's certainly going to help. That's a credit positive event.
So it would change if we did start to really dip into that.
Again, as the analysts said in their rating report that they last released, that one of the things they were concerned about was their expectation that you would be drawing on your fund balance. But the fact you didn't do that is good news. The fact that you were able to deliver an audit earlier than you have in the recent past is also good news, because that reflects well on management. So it shows there's good management, there's good fiscal responsibility being exercised here. And when we do go to the bond market, we'll go and sit with the rating analysts again. And at that point, we'll have some good things to talk to them about.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, God, my chair is broken. So this $30 million project that we're doing doesn't even scratch the surface of what our buildings, grounds, facilities need. And based on so it's great to hear positive, right? Because our financial outlook as a district, a board, has always been like, oh my God, right? We lost a ton of revenue from Indian Point. But in this positive conversation, I guess I get caught up or stumbled kind of thinking, okay, but we still have so much that needs to be done here. From your professional opinion, how do we even, and not granular, just big picture, a lot of our debt will be past debt retiring. We don't have a lot of debt. We're in a good place. But what do we do about future projects?
Sure. Your debt capacity, you have a formulaic debt capacity. you're allowed to issue debt based on the value of real property subject to taxation in the district. So right now, your debt limit would allow you to issue over $350 million in debt. You have, I think, exhausted less than 6% of that debt limit.
That should do it.
Pardon me?
That should do it.
So you have a lot of capacity for debt. Now, most jurisdictions don't go anywhere near reaching their debt capacity. So I think you're at about 6% right now of your debt capacity that you've exhausted. So you could issue significantly more debt, and that in and of itself would not have a negative impact on your credit rating. You have that capacity because your tax base, your wealth levels are very strong. Now, we represent a lot of school districts, so you sit down with your architects and your engineers, you come up with your wish list, and you prioritize things. You do get, I think your state building aid ratio is around 45%. So you do get a significant amount of state building aid. One of the tools that you folks have availed yourself, we have a group that is state aid people that prepare a debt and aid model. I think you've been working with Alex Locasio on that, which projects out for you into the future. It models if you added 10 million more, 20 million more, etc. It factors in current interest rates, projected future interest rates, your state aid ratio, any other monies that might be available. So we can help you model how you can address those future needs. You're not alone. I mean, most jurisdictions have been in the market. Most school districts we've represented probably in the market every 5 to 7 years with capital projects. We had something approved, I think, yesterday for $50 million for a school district on Long Island. It's expected or anticipated that the nature of your infrastructure, you have to invest in it. Just the way we invest in our homes, whether it's a leaky roof or the plumbing needs to be updated. You have a building that gets a lot of wear and tear. There's a lot of young kids banging through the hallways every day. You have to fund those improvements, and the most rational way, the most reasonable way, and the most equitable way to do that is through the issuance of debt paid over a period of time, so the people who enjoy the benefits are paying for the benefits.
So to kind of piggyback off what Alexis was saying, we did create that wish list, and we prioritized our wish list, and it was at like approximately 90 million. And Armand said, tell us what's your top, and we said this was our top because we had already eliminated. So you said before that we could possibly be in the bond market for next year.
I would think to fund the balance of this project.
Yeah, so we
For
have...
this current project.
Yes, for the current 2024 capital vote. So we have a $7.5 million notes. Next year, and this is based
For
on
the
that.
phase 2, we would be going out.
Yes,
Okay.
we would do an additional, so we would pay down that note, $1.1 million. So we would bond $6.4 million. And then in conjunction with that, to minimize cost of issuance, we would issue a note for the next phase in the amount of $22.4 million. And then take that out in 2027 with a bond.
Okay.
And that's what we mentioned with layering and timing of everything to maximize the state aid. Because there is, I think, 18 months between approval of a project and when state aid starts to flow. So that's why we're doing it this way, to time it, sync it up as best
Is
possible.
there any way to predict when we should start looking at our next bond beyond this current one, next project, and approximately like ballpark figures so we could...
350 million.
Yeah, 350 million.
We did 30 out of the 90 million, so.
Well, no, that was just our top priority. There were still there was still a lot more.
Right.
So using this debt and aid model, which should be updated on an annual basis, that'll give you a good idea of what your capacity is and what the impact of additional borrowing could be. Let's talk about that 350 million. That's a formulaic number. No one issues up to their debt limit. And that just doesn't happen. But you have the legal authority to. It's not unusual for people to exhaust 10% of their debt margin, 15%, which again would be significantly more than where I think you're presently at around 6% exhausted. So you have a lot of capacity.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Financial advisor says issue 350.
That's my takeaway. No way. No way.
Well, thank you for your presentation this
You're
evening.
welcome.
Our pleasure.
Thank you, board, for your thoughtful questions.
Thank you, guys.
Now time for some comedic relief.
Well, I don't know. So we probably should have planned this more strategically before we had our debt advisors and then our architect go on future projects, or current projects. So I will turn it back over to Ms. Jill Figuerella to introduce members of our partners of ours from KSQ and Triton who have been managing and planning and implementing and supporting our current capital project, which the community voted on 2 years ago to improve facilities, primarily envelopes and physical structures within our buildings and a few learning spaces. So we have an update for the Board of Education this evening, and I'll turn over to Ms. Figuerella.
Hi. Okay, yep, we have our architects here tonight from KSQ. We have Armand and John. No, Bob. I'm sorry. Bob Furness?
Yep.
Okay, and Armand, I don't remember your last name. Bongini, that's right. Okay, and they're just going to review what phase one we have done up to date and what's left to do on that, and then also an update on phase two that's coming up soon.
Thank you.
And Mr. Merlini is here as well. Any questions? And it was only 89 million, not 90.
It was 80.
And the other component to that with the state education department is the maximum cost allowance that each school is allowed to spend. So there's some arithmetic that the team can work on to help the board understand those opportunities.
Just want to keep working with you, that's all.
Thank you so much. So this presentation is 2 chapters. We really want to celebrate the great work that was done this past summer for phase one. We're really, really pleased. We had a good set of contractors. The supervision went well. The project were executed on time. A lot of safety improvements were done on our campuses. And we'll show some pictures of that. And then give an update on phase two, which is the larger of the 2 projects. So, and then Anthony will follow up with some of the other initiatives that the district is spearheading. So Bob Furness is a director from Triton. He's going to walk us through, really in a post-mortem way, the financials for phase one.
So what you're seeing on the screen there is phase one. Happy to say that we're under budget on phase one, and we have a balance left over that we can use now for phase two. So our construction dollars were $5,313,000 and change. Our budget $5,781,000 and change. That leaves us some balance, and along with that we have a construction reserve which we did not touch. Okay, of $433,000 and change. In the end, we end up with a balance of the bond or construction budget reserves and that for $785,741. And like I said, we can use that towards phase two construction. So that's where we stand right now. And talking about construction, next slide. This is the high school. Some of the construction that occurred was some parking lot area by the gym. We replaced the gym doors. We rebuilt the retaining wall at the side of the building and repaired some of the parking area that was there. We did some small roof areas next to the auditorium, and a major component of this summer's construction was the facade repair, which included rebuilding the cupola. Fred Camelli was our field person for the entire project, and if you've seen some of the drone videos, Fred is the one that takes care of all of that and all the pictures. So he did a great job this summer managing 3 contractors. One was Grace Construction, Jobco was the civil, and Tremco WTI was the roofing contractor.
So this will be some drone footage here, correct?
This will be the drone footage, yeah, of the cupola, I believe.
Beautiful day that day.
So there is still some work to be completed, like you see there, the surround balustrades or protection around the cupola. The contractor ordered that material and it was back ordered, so I believe it just arrived and they're starting to work on that.
Yeah, it arrived yesterday.
And they'll be working on some roofing work that's associated with the cupola there. Okay, next slide is Blue Mountain Middle School, which is here. We had a roofing project over the main area of the building, the original building. We had some parking work done, and we rebuilt a field area that is over the sanitary drainage system. That's that blue area on the bottom left there. And we did some exterior concrete pads along with some masonry repairs. Masonry repairs were throughout the district at all the schools. Frank G. Lindsay, some masonry repairs. The concrete soffit around the building was repaired and painted. The main walkway canopy, the underside was rebuilt. You'll see now a synthetic wood decking that is on the underside. Again, masonry repairs and some masonry replacements. Masonry repairs included repointing and actual replacing of brick on the facades. Furnace Woods, there was a location, 2 locations I believe, where we had canopies where we had to replace the structural steel columns. So that's what you see on the upper right hand side there, and right below that is the column coming down to the foundation and that repair. We also recoated the parking lot on the left side of the building there. Buchanan Verplank, we rebuilt the canopy at the loading dock. There was masonry repairs. We replaced a couple doors on the side of the building. We did a new color around the building of blue rather than what you saw was red doors. Those were changed now to blue, and rebuilt the stair to the addition that's on the left side when you're looking at the building from the parking lot. And again, some parking pavement repairs.
Can we leave it on that last slide?
You want to go back?
Can you go back one? Yeah, thank you. I'm really pleased about the blue painting at
Yes.
UV. I think maybe it might be an example for the other schools, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But it really, the blue, not only is it hen hog blue, but it complements the brick on the school, which is lovely.
Looks fantastic.
I just wanted to just mention, in support of what Bob was saying, that a lot of the materials we used this summer, like to restore the cupola on the outside and the underside of our canopies, is synthetic, so it won't deteriorate, it won't rot. We're really in a good position. So if there is a leak, it won't deteriorate the slats and so on. So we're really in a good position now for the next generation with these replacements that we made. I also wanted to recognize Fred. He's Triton's person that's on site every single day. He's the drone maestro. The kid sends us drone footage every week.
FAA certified, correct?
Exactly. But he really...
So I just wanted you guys to know that the dome was built by my father and uncle.
Oh, man.
And I worked on that when I was home from college. I worked for my father in the summer.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
He should be here.
It was a good project.
That's amazing.
Yeah, the roof was all wood roof, and the company was from Georgia, and the guy came up in his truck. He used to walk around that was before OSHA got really strict. No tie-offs or anything, just walked around. He was nuts.
That's awesome. That's really
Yeah, it was
cool.
nice. It was a nice project. It's great.
Thank you for that.
I'm going to move now to the second chapter to focus on the Phase 2 projects. 22.5 million of the 30 million that the voters authorized. Our red line puts us in the middle of October. We are indeed in the middle of the State Education Department building permit processing. And there's two facets to the permit issuance. There's technical review, so the architects and engineers do their part. We're responding. We've got the technical comments and we're responding to them. And then we'll go back with the fiscal associate and process and issue the permit. So we're in a good position to have the permit in hand between the Thanksgiving and end of year holidays, and then to go out to bid for this project in January. And that'll position us to award and then start construction in the spring, and the office related construction activities in the spring, and then in June actual boots on the ground. We do have a few projects that will extend past the summer, and we're going to coordinate those very carefully with Mike Trombley and with our principals to make sure that we have, all education needs are being met while we're under construction. So we wanted to share, this is a very brief overview, so there's 100 line items that comprise the scope of the bond, and we condensed each school into renderings on a single slide. So excited to talk about the high school, the top two.
Go finish your sentence if I could just. After you finish,
If I could just jump in on renderings for a second.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sure. So just could we clarify that renderings that we have associated with this project, they're really our best interpretation of what it could look like, but even those renderings, the final outcome will have weigh-in by stakeholders such as obviously Mr. Merlini, our building principals, if it has to do with color schemes and any spaces, that the renderings are just, they serve a couple purposes to help identify what it could look like, go through state ed approval, and then also lead for inspiration into what the actual tangible outcome will look like, and that they're not necessarily the mandated of what it's going to be. Correct?
Thank you for that. Absolutely correct. And I think some of the renderings, we've got it right. Some of them we're still working on, and there is a number of steps before we actually go live and go on the street. There's a page turn that we do with the construction manager, Anthony. We're going to go back and meet again with our new high school and middle school principals. So we'll make sure that stakeholders have signed off before we buy anything. But the top two images here are the gut rehab of the lower level. It is a basement. I usually don't like to say basement, but it's 2 levels down in the high school. And these are purpose-built spaces for band and orchestra. We're really excited. All new finishes, lighting, proper storage for the instruments. I think it's going to be really special. And then upstairs in the main library, we'll convert that into a learning commons. The big piece that'll happen there is that we're going to make a significant space at the bottom of the ramp. So instead of coming into a ramp and then being sort of shuttled up, you'll come into a proper space for education, delivery of education services and so on. And really excited about the learning commons there. One of the pieces we learned during COVID is that the dome could have a multi-purpose use. So there are modest provisions to control acoustics in the dome to make sure that our custodians aren't having to do a lot of setup when the district wants to use it for assembly purposes. So you're seeing these are felt fabric acoustical panels that modulate the sound in the space so that there's much less reverberation. And we've been working with a special consultant on the acoustics in the dome. Please interrupt me if we want to talk more.
Yeah,
but I think.
Could I just pause on that?
aspect right there. Just in general terms, so I apologize.
So it's my understanding, Armin, that the district actually attempted to utilize those acoustics in the dome on 2 separate occasions. One with ceiling-mounted acoustic panels, and the other time with baffles, similar to, I think, without seeing them, similar to the ones being proposed. We've received feedback that at times it was not as effective at doing what it was touted to do. Knowing that this is a new project, probably some innovations in acoustic management since the last time this was implemented. Since it is a dome that was built primarily for athletic competitions and we're looking to utilize it in other ways, do you have anything to share about what those acoustic panels might look like, how they're installed, how they're secured? Do they actually, I mean, some people will even say, well, it's a dome, it naturally baffles sound. So just thoughts on that from a design perspective.
I will share that we had an acoustician, a consultant that specializes in, he set up equipment in the space, and then they have these machines that create noise, and then they monitor and they spit out a report that shares with us, what needs to happen to improve the acoustics, and then our team follows the recommendations in the report. We've used these panels. This is my only dome in my practice right now, but we have used these felt panels really successfully in gymnasiums and other spaces that are both athletic and assembly in nature. We are planning to have one more round with Anthony and the athletic department to make sure that our balls aren't, balls don't come in play with in terms of interfering with where the felt pieces are located and so on. So we want to make sure we button all that up. But we're confident that the space. So any multi-purpose space, there's a little bit of compromise, right, for the athletics, for the assembly use, and so on. But that's the nature of multi-purpose. And I think we'll sort of hit the sweet spot that will have a really nice functional use for all the needs in the district.
Thank you.
I'm moving now to the Blue Mountain Middle School that we're in. The gymnasium here at the middle school is essentially original to the construction of the building. There's been some resanding and refinishing, but we'll do a professional refinish of the flooring. We're going to put the logo in. I'm excited to meet with our new principal to talk about what that looks like and how it supports the program there. And then the old-fashioned original bleachers, you actually manually pull them out. So that's another burden for our custodial team and our maintenance staff. These will be motorized. In the next look at this, we'll propose logos that'll go on each step and each bench. We can number the seats. So it'll really change the look and feel of the. These two improvements will change the look and feel and improve the celebration of the gymnasium at the middle school.
Can I ask a question? Are those windows there?
Oh, this is a library photo of an example of bleachers that we would purchase.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, that's not your gym.
I got excited. Sorry. I know windows are a whole nother. We are putting
That's not in this bond.
That's in the, from the cutting. That's in the 300
It's in the
million
300
bond.
million.
Yes, I'll add it to the list.
This was just that's not actually happening.
Oh, this is Jennifer. Where those windows are.
You are going to do this.
Upper left and lower center are the new downstairs STEM and visual arts suite. There are 3 instruction spaces that are proposed for downstairs. We work super closely with your 2 teachers there, and actually this is the take 2 version of that. So we've got a visual arts piece, a build area, and then a computer lab. And these spaces are also, it's sort of clever, they're accessible from the main corridor downstairs. So spaces can be locked out when instruction's not happening, and so other teachers can push in and use those spaces. Lower left, the servery at the middle school is also original. It's in 3 distinct compartments. We're going to gut that and make one servery that feeds from each side, and students will come out. Feeds into the center, and students will come out from the sides. And also there'll be wall graphics. We will, it'll be a whole different experience now to dine in the main cafeteria area. And then upper right, the big move here at the middle school, and I'll just mention, the investment in the middle school is half of the phase 2 cost. So it's we had shared in the pre-bond effort that it was really time to reinvest in this school. We've had many bonds that reinvest in the high school and some in the elementaries, but so this is it's coming, right? The Learning Commons will reclaim the upper commons here next to the cafeteria, and then this space will be repurposed for other uses for the middle school. We're doing toilet renovations in all the schools. At Frank G, this is the upstairs to current library that would be reimagined as a Learning Commons. We talked about very early on the continuum of learning that's synonymous with STEM program. So it's a little bit different in our K2 and then our at Frank G and then the middle school and the high school. But it's going to start in kindergarten, it is starting in kindergarten. The programs exist today, and these spaces will support that curriculum. Mike, did you want to?
Just a reminder that these are stock photos that are used to help illustrate what.
Is that the current library?
This is a rendering of the space that's proposed for the library, yes.
The FGL current library, right? Up there?
That's the current space, but this is our rendering of the.
So the second floor. But it's staying in the same place?
Yes, staying in the same place, yes.
This is like if you're in the back corner.
Yes.
The door is here, you're in the back corner.
Yes.
Looking, right?
Yeah, it's a long, narrow space, and we've got it divided where there's a quiet study, a group activity space, and then the book collection. Please keep in mind that our investments in the elementary schools are the smallest of the scopes proposed for the bond. I'll move into BV next. So Buchanan Plank, this is this really cool through space in the back of the school. It will be reclaimed and reimagined as a STEM learning commons to support our youngest children at BV. And then similarly at Furnace Woods, the dollars were set aside to renovate the cafetorium in the center of the school. Our interior designer has proposed a Roy G. Biv, all the colors. It's sort of a learning tool in the back of the space. We can talk about that as we move forward. There's also a STEM Learning Commons. That's the renovation of the lower level library, or the main level library in the center of the school. Those are the images, center bottom and right bottom.
Yes. Yes.
Ask your question.
No, I'm just sorry. I disappeared for a year and I came back to the board. So we're keeping the, whatever you call it, like BV, we kind of modified that. So at Furnace Woods, we're keeping the riser
Yes.
structure.
So just a little bit more detail. At BV, it was like a sunken living room.
Yeah.
So it was really hard to get down there and then have usable space. So the strategy there was to take back the tiers and make a more level usable space at that lower level. At Furnace Woods, it's actually raised up.
Yeah.
So you come in at the main level.
Right.
Yeah, and we met, with staff, with Anthony, with the principal there, and it was a big investment at DV to demolish and rebuild.
This one, we don't have to worry, because the other way we would have to then have created like an ADA compliant. This one, all the kids will eat still on the ground.
Yes.
They wanted to keep the risers for like assembly purposes, so that it won't be necessarily used while they're eating lunch, but it will be used for those. So they decided to keep that part. I think
the bones of the space work better, and it just has to do with.
Enter on the bottom as opposed to the top.
That's exactly.
There's also more surface area on the ground there than BB had.
Yeah.
We're refinishing the risers though, right?
All surfaces will be touched. Lighting, ceilings, paint, flooring will be replaced in the space. We'll have air conditioning. Like it's intended to be on par with the work that was done at BB. So those are our prepared remarks in terms of architectural design. I am going to have, there's one more slide to talk about the financial update for phase 2.
So right now, as we're waiting for state ed approval, we've estimated the project for phase 2. Our construction budget is budget and reserved. We have 18.6 million for that. Our estimate is trending about 13.3% over the construction budget, which is the 17,297,000. If we add in the balance from phase 1, the 700,000, it drops down to about 12% or so. We are doing a reconciliation next week with Armand and his team and our estimators to see what we estimated, to see that we didn't estimate something wrong, or that the scope increased in some way, and reconcile that to see against the overall budget. See if there's any other money in incidental reserves, say, that could be used for the construction dollars to get that closer. We don't want to touch the construction reserve, which is 1 million, almost 300,000 for the phase 2 work, because we're not even in construction yet. So we'll need that money. We think we'll need that money if we come across anything. In renovations, try to keep 7%, 5 to 7% in reserve for that.
I want to add on to what Bob said. So the pre-bond planning set aside 30% of the 30 million for incidental costs, and a lot of that's committed. But we're working with Jill to really drill down now that we're well into the bond. So, for example, the phase 1 30% included dollars set aside for furniture, but there is no furniture in phase 1. So those are additional dollars I think we're going to find, and the idea is to put as much money as possible into the schools and the children, and that's the exercise we're working on with Jill, and then we'll report to Mike Trombley, and we'll get back to get that 13% down to 0.
Well, thank you, Armin. Bob, for your presentation. We will turn over to board questions, but before I do that, if you pay attention to some of my phrases that I constantly say, a crisis is anything that destabilizes a district, and anybody who's done their own home construction, or as my wife Stephanie can attest when she asks me to replace an outlet, construction or any type of work on your structures can cause chaos or send you into a crisis. I have been a part of a capital project dating back to every school district I've been a part of, even my high school capital project, and there is a lot of chaos within the district. I can tell you that thanks to this team that you have, including Triton as our construction manager, Mr. Merlini, Armand, the workers on site, Jill, there are monthly meetings where we meet as the team that you see here, what we call our OAMC meetings, owner architect construction manager meetings, to address problems as they come up, to provide updates, to provide feedback, to constantly monitor the work, and the team has done a fantastic job of minimizing as much disruptions to the regular teaching and learning day as possible. There's always going to be disruptions. This team has been responsive when we brought something to them, so thank you for your work to not only see the capital project through, but to do it in a way that recognizes that we still are an educational institution tasked with primarily educating students and helping us to improve that. So I'll turn it over to board questions if there are any.
I had a quick question. Given just the change of the market and just materials and pricing and things changing, are you guys doing any sort of pre-planning of like purchasing of materials ahead of time to ensure that cost is not being impacted later on if it's purchased at a different time?
We are right now looking at how we break up the projects. Definitely the middle school should be its own project, and you'll have a minimum of 4 primes: general construction, mechanical, plumbing, electrical. We are looking at whether we should break out the kitchen equipment as a separate contract for purchasing that equipment. And then we'll save on a markup from a contract. Over at the high school, that's a large enough project to again break that up into an individual project. Again, 4 primes, general construction, mechanical, plumbing, electrical. I'm not sure if we'd break out anything else. Definitely, we'd break out furniture in all projects. That is not going to be purchased by a contractor. That'll either be bid or purchased off of a state contract.
Same with the kitchen.
Kitchen equipment could be a state contract or a Omnia contract or a bid. Sometimes, even though you have a state contract, we find it it's more competitive to have it bid, or at least shop it out and look at different companies that have state contracts and get the best price. Now we're at the 3 elementary schools, and we're really looking at whether we should combine those 3 together into one project or bid them separately. Depending on the dollar value, and when we come up with our final estimates, we'll see. You could go to a single prime contract if you're under $1.5 million. So that could be a good opportunity to go to a single prime on a small project. One of the 3 is... No, you don't need a PLA. To a small project, but that's where we are right now. And our estimating is using current pricing.
And do you guys have like a buffer time frame, like lead time in there as well? Like, you know, if you need to be done by the start of the school year, are you like looking to just make sure that things are ordered prior for the equipment and all that stuff to arrive?
Yeah, our schedule right now is to go out to bid in January, have an award sometime in February, and then start the contractors off with meetings and see what are long lead items, get those submittals in, get those purchases done, because the elementary schools definitely have to be done over the summer. The high school, 95%, I'm thinking it has to be done over the summer. It's the middle school that pushes out and goes into the school year. Looking at the high school, what I see could be long lead items would be like air conditioning unit, the large units for the basement area. So I'm trying to figure out what the long lead of that is, and I'm talking to some of the contractors that I deal with. I have a good relationship to see what they think fabrication time would be for a unit like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a few things. So thank you for doing this, it's great. Just what's the timeline on painting all of the red at our schools blue? Right? That's question 1. I think that might be an Anthony question. I think that a lot of parents like see it at BV and they think it looks great and are wondering when it's gonna happen at the other schools. My other question is, okay, on page 10, I think it's page 10, the high school renderings, we have the learning commons, and I see the elevated space on the left-hand side, which is right now our testing room at the high school. That's how the space is utilized right now. I know it's an awkward space, it has those weird step downs. It used to be a media center, but it's actually our testing room. Is there another space? I think it's great to add space for students, but is there another space we're talking about that to make our testing? I know the space at the high school is limited.
Just to clarify, the final design leaves that intact. We don't touch that.
Okay, because I'm
So
seeing it on this rendering as it's open on the left-hand side on page 10. I'm assuming that lifted area there is that space. Like, I'm trying to understand the vantage point of this.
So are you looking at the lower left or the
Yes, the
lower
lower left.
Yeah, so that's right when you come in the doors to the right.
Okay.
The AP conference room, so it's
So
repurposing the AP conference room area and up the stairs and that other secondary classroom that's in there on
So
the
this is
right-hand
new
side.
space.
Yes.
It's new space on the right-hand side. This program did not, or this project did not include the testing room side or the guidance suite side.
So the
Okay.
other 50.
It's the walkway and like the stairs are gonna be different.
The existing ramp, you just see it on the lower left of that image. And so the idea is instead of coming into a ramp, you'll be greeted by a space with windows and light. We are actually removing the upper level conference, I call it a conference room there, but that's what makes this opportunity and opens the space up.
Okay, so we're not gonna have a conference room space at the high school?
We're going to look into that and talk about it. I think that we were going to be able to repurpose another space, but just off the top of my head, I don't know.
There are other spaces that we're looking to repurpose for learning and conferencing, and more cohesive to include, like teacher learning spaces, a conference room space that's a little bit more welcoming and flexible seating to accommodate different types of learning styles.
Thanks for letting me phone a friend.
So when I think about a high school library, and I think we had talked about this at some point when we were doing this, and I think I was originally on the facilities team. I haven't been on it in 2 years, so this is all sort of new to me, other than I've really seen any of it. We had talked about, and I know it's not up to the board, but I'm just saying, we had talked about having more space for students to work collaboratively in like quiet spaces, because they're constantly told in that space to not talk. So how are we handling those spaces for our students so they can work together and collaborate?
So this is really a very abbreviated presentation, but we have different scale meeting spaces all the way down to solo. So there's spaces for groups of 2 and 4 to meet, 6, and then a large group instruction within the Learning Commons. So the vision that we talked about for the Learning Commons is that it's not a don't talk.
Right, exactly.
It's a place, and some high schools do unit lunch where you can actually, pick up your lunch and go into the Learning Commons, study with others, references.
I think a good visual would be to think of the Hen Hut Free Library, those breakout rooms like with the glass.
That's exactly what we had talked about.
Yes.
But it's hard to see because you're not seeing that here at all. So it's like
there will, from what we had discussed in facilities, there will be.
Send along.
Yeah, so that I asked the team to keep the presentation to about 10 minutes and to be very brief on the details of the next phase. So we'll be happy to provide additional details.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important for the community to see where their money is going as well. So, this doesn't really give us, a high school, the kids don't really use the library, we know that, right? So that was why I'm asking that question. And then the other question I have is about the FGL cafeteria. I thought that was part of phase 2 to help us with the space behind the wall, similar to the middle school.
So actually, that project went away because at the time Claire figured out how to manage the serving lines so that a new construction wasn't required. And that, you've managed a whole school year. It's my understanding without.
So yeah, but the goal of this is to have all of our students eating at the same time in the cafeteria, and we cannot do that in the current. That was where this came from. The current configuration with a one lunch line doesn't get us there.
So that's something
we can debrief on. I think it would be a major change to the current scope.
I didn't know it wasn't part of it, to be honest.
I think she's doing it with equipment.
Yeah.
So I think she figured out a way that she could have the throughput to bring all the kids through and just have it with additional heat tables or steam tables or whatever she needed to get it for the throughput.
Okay, so the goal ultimately is to not have to touch the space and ultimately have our students be able to eat together and have recess together.
Oh, wait, are you talking about high school?
No,
I'm talking
FGL
about
right
Frankie
now.
Lindsay.
Oh, got it. Sorry. I thought you were
Some of those items I think we could explore with possible schedule discussions as well, but as far as the envelope.
Well, they all eat at the same time, so they're all in that same 45 or 50-minute block of time, but we're rotating the two different
recess,
groups. Yes.
Rotating recess and the actual lunch.
The ultimate goal of doing this and putting the kids together is so they're actually together. So that was part of this goal. So I thought that's what we're moving towards. If there's a solution to do that, that's fantastic. I thought it was part of our construction. And then the other part is the bathrooms. So in these renderings, we have the bathrooms at the elementary schools. Are they gonna leave a bathroom and wash their hands in a common area?
I think that our interior designer and I like the colors in this picture, we didn't intend to share a meeting.
I just wanted to, because
No, the answer's no.
I'm totally fine with common area washing hands, like personally, because I know that actually sometimes it works better, but.
But the sinks are each in the boys and the girls' rooms.
Okay,
So
understood.
So, and I agree with that thinking as well, but logistically that won't tend to happen. Another piece at Frank G is that we're creating new toilet rooms in the upper grade classroom wing. And that's critical to the program. So when this was, originally a KE5 school, most of our students were using the toilet room in the classroom.
Yes.
So that's another piece. But we're happy to send. We have a lot of renderings and floor plans.
Yeah. So we're doing our best to provide detailed updates as appropriate as we go through the project. There's pictures in there with students in uniforms too, and it's not our intention to move through uniforms, but we will make sure that we continue to bring KSQ and Triton back as we go through each stage, so that those renderings are actually brought to life. And we also are making a concerted effort now to provide more frequent updates, because we've received such positive feedback about some of the photos that are being done and the progress posted on our capital project website. We'll make sure that we keep those updated as well too.
That was my last question, is are we updating our website with the capital improvement so that we can follow along, the community can follow along as well? Okay.
I have a question. You had mentioned that the percentage of the construction budget is a little bit over. If you, for some reason, can't get that down, do you have like a list of items you feel are not as important that we might not need to do, or?
Yeah, so we're still balancing the budget, and a big part of that is reconciling the soft costs. And then we also will put ad alternates built into the bid, so that, and those are a series, we work with Anthony and Mr. Trombley on that, but the idea is that those are not the must-have pieces, and then it'll create a separate, it's a menu of costs for these other alternates. And once we open the bids, we can decide together, we would bring that to the school board, that these are our recommendations. We have enough money to take everything, or do we need to leave some of those alternates on the table?
So another purpose behind the frequent updates on this project is the fact that we have to keep the bond project similar and in the vein of how we presented it to the public when they had their vote. However, with the contingencies and with price fluctuations, right, you always have those contingencies in there, because you never know if you're going to come across material increases, labor increases, asbestos where we didn't anticipate it, right? Those are all in there. And as you make those fine and coarse adjustments with the money that may be left over, you could add things back onto the quote-unquote punch list that might need to be done going forward. So I think it's a takeaway for me is to continue to have these updates so that we can have a full monitoring perspective of what's occurring.
I think a few of you are attending the NISPA conference. I hope you'll come by our booth and say hi. Okay.
Yes, it starts tomorrow.
Yes. Or you'll be there.
Lauren, did you get your other question answered?
Yeah, I mean, that was basically it. I was just like, if you said basically if there's something you feel you can't do, you'll present a different option or show us what
we have to.
The most important, yeah.
We have to balance the budget. There's not a way forward, but to make sure we're getting the most value for the schools and the students, we do this back and forth with the construction manager, where we draw and we talk and draw and talk, and we'll get to that sweet spot shortly.
We have to do what was in the bond.
No, that I know, but I was just saying, if for some reason it's like over, is there anything you could like take off the list? Like if you can't get the number down, that's just what I'm saying.
And that's part of the process.
Did you move the savings over from the other?
We will do that as
I
well.
know, I feel like you already said it was,
No, he didn't.
it was earmarked.
Yeah.
From savings that we have from phase one.
Well, all the above. Yep, that's how
We've spent our savings already.
No, I'm sorry.
No.
There's definitely savings unspent.
I just meant like you have expenses that you think it can go towards in phase two. Oh, yeah. That's my lesson.
We could come back at the next update and some of that savings may be decreased, right? It may not be actualized, right?
When we meet again We'll be on budget. And I would rather explain, if it's okay, we'll explain the detail, how we got there.
Yes.
Love that, thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for a detailed update and taking time to answer our questions and the continued work. So thank you. And you're more than welcome to stay for the remainder of the meeting.
We want to hear from
Blue paint, blue paint.
We want to hear.
We want to hear from you.
Yes,
Anthony.
Blue paint.
He's got the blue tie.
Yes,
blue paint.
ties.
I was just going to talk about the energy performance contract, the last thing that we did over the summer and where we are with that, to give you guys like a quick update. So during the school, like towards the end of the spring, we started working on the lighting project inside the building to change all our lighting bulbs to LED or fixtures to LED where we could change the fixtures. So that is complete. All the fixtures have been changed and we've gone to LED throughout the district, whether that's inside lighting or outside lighting, including the sports field. We're in the final phase of that because now we're doing the punch list on it. So where things aren't working 100% like we wanted them to, the contractor has to come back and make those tweaks on the lighting. We changed out HVAC equipment in some of the buildings where we upgraded. The other equipment was getting old and antiquated. It was end of their useful life. So that equipment has been changed. We did some weatherization last end of the winter, beginning of the spring. That's been completed. The last phase of the project, the main part of it is the building management system, which has to do with the controls of either the heating or the cooling. And that's in process now, just ending. We're about 85–90% complete with that. They have to do the rollover on what we would call the front end on the visual of what I would see or my head custodians would see. And that's what would come up on my computer. So I can see the buildings at a quick glance and I can pull up the Blue Mountain Middle School. I can see what rooms have heat, which rooms don't have heat, which are hotter than others. And we can make those tweaks from behind the scenes and get those rooms either cooler or hotter, one or the other. So that's the last part of that, and they're making those last tweaks now. They're telling me that they should be finished within the next month or so, and then we'll be doing our final punch list on that project. Hopefully everything will be done by the end of the year, and we can start off the 2026 with everything up and running. That's kind of what I'm with that.
And on a related but unrelated topic, Anthony's been very busy this week. We've also had a meeting to discuss district-wide update of signage that we will prepare during the budget presentation to provide an update on what we anticipate for that.
Blue paint.
Blue paint. We did talk about blue paint, yes.
We did talk about that.
Thank you so much for your update.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jill.
You're welcome. I'm just gonna, I gotta stand up.
So that brings us to our consent agenda. Does anybody have anything they would like to pull or remove from the consent agenda?
Thank you, Dr. Toro.
Okay, so thank you. Can I ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as stated.
Second?
All in favor? Okay, moving right along to audience comments on agenda items. Thank you. There's no one here. And I'm going to turn it back over to Superintendent Tremblay for his update.
Thank you very much. And I will note that because we did have such detailed updates on some of our business and operations side of the house, we are going to have very brief updates for the remainder of the evening before we get into the policy review. No policies tonight, I'm sorry. But before we do move on with our update, I just want to take a moment to publicly acknowledge a special occasion. Last week was designated by the New York State School Board Association as School Board Recognition Week. And it's a fitting time to honor the dedicated individuals who serve our community on the Hendrick Hudson Board of Education. So, Board, you do have tokens of our appreciation. I did not wrap them. We are a team here at the district office, and we had Ms. Scollins and Mr. Moreno take time to wrap gifts for you that we'd like to present to you on behalf of a grateful district. So you may go ahead and open that up while I continue to speak, because nobody pays attention to me anyway. And we know that the work of a school board member is a profound act of public service. The 7 individuals you see here seated at this table as board members are elected officials who dedicate countless hours to our district. They attend meetings, participate in trainings, they use Robert's Rules of Order, face complex and challenging decisions, all while remaining steadfastly focused on ensuring a high-quality education for every child. Here in Hendrick Hudson, we are incredibly fortunate to have a board that governs with integrity, passion, and a collaborative spirit. And on a personal and professional level, I'm deeply grateful for the partnership, their thoughtful questions, and their unwavering focus on what's best for our students. So as a small token of our appreciation, our collective appreciation from the district's administration, faculty, and staff, we have a small gift for each of you tonight, and we are presenting each of you with a compass. It symbolizes the clarity and direction that you provide to our district, always helping us to chart our course and keeping us oriented towards our mission and our true north, which is the students that we serve. So on behalf of the entire Hendrick Hudson Central School District educational community, I ask you to please join me in a round of applause to thank our Board of Education for their incredible service to education. And we did test out the compass. I don't know if it's being so close to magnetic north that it may not be truly accurate, but perhaps we can work on magnetic declination.
Don't use it to drive.
Yes, don't use it to drive.
Thank you.
I'd like to begin my official report tonight with an update on our district's ongoing advocacy efforts, which continue to be a significant priority. This work is a truly collaborative effort, and I want to highlight that even just last week, thanks to our dedicated partners at the Hendrick Hudson Education Association, our PTA advocacy leadership, members of the Board of Education that you see here tonight, and members of the district office had a productive meeting with Senator Gillibrand's staff to discuss key issues facing our district. And this continued engagement at the federal level is critical, and tonight I want to share with you another positive and timely development. As I mentioned previously, we have been working closely with Congressman Mike Lawler's office on federal legislation to support communities like ours that are impacted by nuclear plant closures. I mentioned in previous updates that he has agreed to sign off and support the Stranded Act, which addresses financial burdens placed on host communities. Building upon that important work, just yesterday as a matter of fact, he took another major step. When I met with his staff this past December and when we met with him earlier in the year, we had the opportunity to discuss topics such as the critical need for greater transparency and accountability regarding the use of the $1 billion Indian Point Decommissioning Trust Fund. We emphasized in that advocacy in those meetings that our community has the right to know that those funds are being used, managed, and spent responsibly. I was very pleased to receive an update yesterday from the Congressman's office, and I'm proud to report that he has formally introduced new federal legislation called the REACT Act, and that stands for the Reactor Expenditure Accountability and Compliance Transparency Act. In essence, this bill addresses the exact concerns that we raised. It's a brand new bill that's being introduced as a result of our advocacy. It directs the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, if passed, to require much more detailed and transparent public reporting on how those decommissioning funds are being managed, including the interest earned on those funds and a full accounting of the expenditures. In essence, we would be able to see what Holtec was able to earn off of that trust fund, perhaps put back into the community or not put back into the community, because we know the use of those funds are highly regulated. As Congressman Lawler noted in his announcement, and I quote, "Communities that have hosted nuclear facilities for decades, including right here in New York Hudson's Valley, have every right to know that those funds are being managed responsibly," end quote. So I do want to thank Congressman Lawler and his staff for their continued partnership and their responsiveness to our community's concerns. And this is a perfect example, of how our local advocacy can translate into meaningful action at the federal level. And we will continue to monitor the bill's progress and advocate for our community's interests. And yes, in case you're wondering, as a former social studies teacher, this was a watershed moment for me to be part of a bill that might be passed. So, on a related note, we have also asked of the New York State Public Service Commission that the December 11th Decommissioning Oversight Board meeting be held at Buchanan Verplank. So I know that Ms. Joy, Dr. Kramer, Mr. Merlini, and I have been working with the organizers of that, and also our security consultant from Alteris. We've been working on hosting that to remind everybody of those who were impacted most by some of the aspects of that shutdown. So I anticipate that we will have an announcement very shortly, if the partnership continues the way it's going, that we will have that hosted there. And we have invited many of our legislative and representatives to attend that meeting so that it can be a true refocus on on the planned shutdown and who that impacts the most. And additionally, we are in the final stages of powering up the gamma detection monitoring system that was purchased through a New York Public Service grant, and I'll keep you updated as soon as that is live. And I will be the only individual in the district who has the access to the monitors, and we are working. We met with the Westchester County emergency response team on the actual protocols that we would implement should we have something that is of note that we need to make sure that we address. As a reminder, we will be testing our we will be having a test of our emergency communication system coming up this week, district-wide on Friday, October 24th at 6 p.m. The system will be used for school-based emergencies such as inclement weather delays, closures, and/or early dismissals. As part of this test, parents and families should receive a text message, an email message, and a phone-based message. And if they do not receive any or all of these messages as a parent or guardian, the first step would be to verify contact information through the Infinite Campus portal or to reach out to the building office where children attend school. And if families struggle with accessing Infinite Campus portal, they can submit a help desk ticket. I'm not going to read to you the URL. It was in a reminder that was sent home on how to access that. And if you don't receive any or all of the messages as a staff member, we can have them reach out to our building main office. And at this time, there are no questions for follow-up, and I will, as I always do, ask my children to make sure that they are going to bed, because they've been getting to bed way too late, and I see it impacting their school district by their teachers calling me. I will now turn it over to Dr. Stephen Garcia, our Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources and Leadership Development, for his update. And again, they will be brief this evening because we have...
Yeah, definitely will be brief. So just to acknowledge on the board agenda, we want to thank and congratulate Melissa Goliwa-Heron, who is now officially administrator. Congratulations, Melissa. She's been appointed as the interim assistant director of PPS for 6 to 12. She's no longer a teacher in special assignment, so we want to congratulate her. And I'm sure Chris is also very happy to have her on board, and she's been doing a great job. So I just want to thank her for that.
Thank you, Dr. Garcia. And since Ms. Figuerella has already done 2 presentations, we will defer to our Acting Director for Pupil Personnel Services, Mr. Chris Moreno, for his update.
Thank you. So I just wanted to thank Principal Alves and Benita Joy for their partnership and collaboration with our Sailor Captain's Quarters worksite. Multiple business endeavors are going on there, including the computer help desk, laminating shop. The students are inventorying supplies for building principals, and keep an eye out. The dog treats and the sweet treat sale for the Haunted High School are upcoming as well. So please, if you can, support the sailors and their business endeavors. Our 504 meetings at the middle school have begun this week, and our elementary and high school 504 meetings will start shortly as well. They're all scheduled, so you should have gotten those if you have a student with a 504 plan in one of our schools. I also want to just point out that the vertical alignment discussions that Mrs. Scullins coordinated this past week it was a great opportunity, and our special education staff and related service staff voiced that they want to have more of those in the future, more opportunities to speak with their colleagues at the different levels. So thank you, Mrs. Scullins, for setting that up. And then finally, Dr. Kleiman had asked me to also highlight that the Veterans Fair, Veterans Community Fair, will be held at the high school on Saturday, November 15th from 11 to 2, and just trying to spread the word for that. So that's the end of my update.
Thank you, Mr. Moreno. So just a clarification on the Veterans Fair. If you think of a college fair for high school soon-to-be graduates, exploring resources that are available to them post-secondary, that is what we are putting together in partnership with the Town of Cortland's Veterans Committee. And Dr. Kleiman has been leading that work through the district. It will be an opportunity for area veterans to be invited to interact with our students while they explore various services that are available to them through the community, the Town of Cortland, and even the wider regional network. So an opportunity to, in the month of Veterans Day, in the centennial year of our district, and having students give back to those who have given something to us. I think it's a fantastic event. I thank Chris for his leadership, Dr. Kleiman for his boots on the ground work, and the partnership with the Town of Cortland for that project. So I'll now turn it over to Ms. Benita Joy. I'm sorry.
Very quickly, could you just say the date and the time of the Veterans Fair one more time? And the location, please.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
So it'll be Saturday, November 15th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the high school, Patrick Hudson High School.
Thank you.
And while that's there, sorry to jump again beneath it, Chris, but if there are any organizations that serve veterans that want to make an outreach, please do reach out to Dr. Klein or myself or Mr. Moreno, and we'd be happy to get that ball rolling, because there's always time to make sure that that's there. Thank you. Ms. Joy.
All right, so I'll do two really quick updates. So we finished our Cisco VoIP upgrade over the weekend, the 3-day weekend last week. Also during the early dismissal days, data department actually conducted a training on Linkit with our math coach, Michelle Kropowski, and Galit Price actually from the data department ran that training for our K-5 teachers. Also, we will be using Parent Square for parent-teacher conferences this year. You should be getting those invitations and sign-ups through Parent Square. High school is coming out tomorrow at 6 o'clock. You should have gotten elementary school sign-ups today, and I believe the middle school went out on Monday at 6 o'clock. So that's all for me.
Thank you, Ms. Joy. I'll now ask Ms. Scollins to provide her update on curriculum instruction and assessment.
So I have a couple of updates tonight. The first one, they did mention our early release day Monday. It was our first one of the year, and it was a really exciting day. Our professional development, or our professional learning committee came together a few weeks ago to plan an exciting day. We spent 2 hours in virtual trainings led by our staff. There was a request for Linkit training, frontline, HMH and inter-reading support, the science of reading, as well as Parent Square and setting up our parent-teacher conferences. We also ran a breakout session on supporting L's in the classroom. So our teachers engaged in that, and it was all teacher-led and staff-led. And then we did spend an hour in vertically aligned department meetings. Each of our administrative staff facilitated a conversation for each department around the topic of the Portrait of a Graduate from the New York State recently adopted in the New York Inspires plan. One of the most exciting pieces to this, as Mr. Marino mentioned, is that all of our teachers were meeting in vertically aligned K-12 groups. So if I was a first grade teacher, each first grade teacher was able to select one of the areas to attend: math, science, social studies, art. So, popping into the art and music conversation, I saw representatives from first grade all the way to our high school art teachers. And everyone was having a focused conversation about the traits that are in the Portrait of a Graduate. We got a lot of really positive feedback. I did do a thought exchange at the end of that, and I have asked Josh Thompson to share that more widely with some of the results from that thought exchange. I was also able to present at the PTA advocacy group this week, just a shout out for the advocacy committee and asking me to present, and it was an exciting opportunity to answer questions about the curriculum for our community, and I look forward to making that a series with them. The last one is an update about our UPK program. Jill and I have been looking at the UPK program, and it came to our attention this year that they are no longer covered under the free lunch program in New York State. And so we will be making a change. Currently, our students who attend the off-site program do pay for their lunch, but the students who attend the program through the Y physically on our campuses, we're receiving free lunch, and that will be changing. We plan on communicating that to the families as soon as we have more details about the cost of those meals. Meals will still be able to be purchased for our UPK students. They just will no longer be free.
Thank you, Ms. Collins. And just to drill down on that, this is a change that the district is following by New York State regulations. It's not something that our partners at the Y have any control over, or even the district has any control over. We just have to follow that regulation. But we'll make sure we support families through that. And Ms. Collins is being very humble. She did not mention that this week she was also selected by her peers on the Regional Curriculum Council to facilitate a professional learning session for them at their monthly meeting. So thank you for representing the district so well. Go ahead, Jill.
I just wanted to add one thing. I think on the early release day, this is the first time, I was the first annual, I was able to facilitate a meeting amongst all of the support staff, all the HHCSD staff, and we had 100% attendance. I think they really enjoyed just meeting each other. We've had so much turnover over the last like 15 months that not even the staff in all of the buildings ever get together and converse and talk about topics so we had a chance to all get together. We're gonna have future meetings, and they thought it was great, and I thought it was great that they cared to attend, and it was 100% attendance by everyone, so I was really happy with that.
And I really appreciate, we try to there's so much work going on across the district, from our teachers to our custodians to our support staff to your cabinet members. There's so much we could update on. I'm very appreciative that members of our cabinet and their updates focused on early release day, because often those are misunderstood, the reason behind them. But I think because of the individuals who facilitated that, Jill and Lauren, Benita, Chris, you see the power that day can have. And when we thank them for focusing on all members of our staff on how we can help them continue to grow and improve as professionals. So thank you to them, but also thank you to the board and the community for allowing us that time, because we know the time that we have with the students is precious, and we hope to show the value added of that time that we get with our staff. So thank you. And at this time, I'll look around one more time. That is all that we have from a cabinet level update, and I will ask them to stick around if they would like to, but if you want to go home and get some rest for tomorrow's festivities of another long but productive day at work, we will allow you to do that.
So now is a choice.
Yeah. It always is a choice.
I'll take that on.
Okay, all right, enjoy. Travel safe then.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the next thing on our agenda is board comments and new business, and we're going to actually begin with another discussion on our board goals. So we'll bring up that presentation. And we can go right to slide 18. So this brings us to our third discussion on our board goals. And again, as we keep going forward, we can see what our mission is, which is the district's mission there, always with our students in mind. And our objective tonight is to really just look at what our goals are. And I know we've been having a lot of discussion on the action items, and I think I want to just make sure that we are mainly focusing on the big picture goals, and then we can tweak the action items throughout the year. So we should really focus in on those goals to see if we are set to approve them tonight, or if we need to make any modifications with approval or modifications that we have to come back for another discussion. So we can actually go to slide 22. The next one right there. And this is the most recent updated board goals. So again, the first one we have is to monitor progress of facility improvements, including the capital project, through regular reports and updates to ensure alignment with district goals, long-term planning, and community needs. The second one we have is to strengthen community engagement and foster Hendrick Hudson pride by supporting, promoting, and participating in centennial year celebrations that honor the district's history and build connections for the future. The third goal we have is approve a fiscally responsible budget that aligns with district priorities and supports long-term financial stability. And the fourth goal is establish a structured quarterly review process to monitor student success by tracking academic achievement, curriculum implementation, and student wellness indicators, ensuring the district remains on track to meet its strategic goals for academic excellence and student well-being. So those are the four goals. Anybody have any feedback on just the goals themselves before we do one final deep dive on action items? Because technically when we are approving the goals tonight, this is the slide that we would be adopting. Yes.
Thank you so much for taking, oh my God, hi. Thank you for taking our feedback.
and making it so succinct. I think these speak really well to the last two discussions we've had. Taking in all the feedback that we have given to you guys to rewrite these in a way that is encompassing with kind of everything, that all the input that we've had, I think they're excellent. Well done. That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so just so we can see what the potential action items we have, because when we move to our new platform, Diligent, we will also have there like a progress monitoring for our goals. These are potential action items that we can use. So if we move to the next one, the next slide for number 1, again, it's looking at that 10-year facilities improvement plan, getting quarterly reports from the facilities committee, monitor that budget, communicate with the public on all of the projects, including the capital project, and looking at those facilities related board policies in the 7,000 series as needed. So again, we took out some of the verbiage and made it very concise. So let me know if there's anything. Again, we can still approve the goals and we can edit the action items at any time, even when we come back with when we are looking at these. Anybody have any feedback or comments on the first one?
Captures everything we talked about, yes.
Okay.
And that's what we did tonight. It was great.
Yeah. Second one we have, I did, again, take out some of the items that you guys felt was not needed, and then I added in the last one, just overall strengthening board communication and outreach. So that can be through our meet and greets and forums and any of those kinds of items. So it doesn't say we have to, but it also doesn't say we won't.
That's good.
Okay, then item number 3 is probably the one that has been touched the least. I did again, though, just try to take out some of the words to keep it in par with the other ones that we have there. And this one also includes the policy piece. No, because we don't have to. Just kidding. That would be the first one. Conduct a series of public budget workshops. That is technically, or line by line, is a public budget workshop. It's on the calendar. And then number 4, I did take that feedback of you guys wanting to combine the 2 bullet points that had the student wellness and the academic piece and brought it to the top. And just kind of took out some of the other parts and again included the policy updates as needed for the 5,000 series.
That's good. That's great.
Anybody have any feedback, any discussion, questions?
Just looking at the number 2, I feel like we could probably tighten that up a little bit more. Just the 2 of those bullet points sound very similar, so we could probably combine those.
You tell me which ones.
Encourage broad community engagement in centennial activities and strengthen overall board communications and outreach. I kind of feel like those are similar because it's about community engagement and communication and outreach.
You said the second bullet?
The action item for number 2. So encouraging broad community engagement in centennial activities and strengthen overall board communication and outreach. I feel like those 2 are very similar. I feel like we might be able to squish them together.
Oh, you're saying, so.
Just those 2 bullet points sound similar, so I feel like you could.
There was a reason we did that. That was intentional. I think one is for centennial. And then one is for like overall.
Okay.
Yeah, feedback that we received was this was very centennial based and we didn't want to also
I
neglect
see.
the other parts, even though we could still do all of those action items with or without a goal, but that since we are talking about strengthening community engagement, we did also want to just say, in general, we will work
Well, and
on.
in that case, the first bullet point then too, promote events and board communications and community outreach, and then encourage broad community engagement.
Okay, so 1 and 5, you want to.
Yeah.
And again, that.
They just sound like they're saying the same thing in different ways. If we're just trying to tighten these up, that might be an easy way to do it.
Okay.
Because the first one and the 5th one both talk about centennial events. I see what you're saying about the last bullet point, and you're right. But there are two that are just,
Absolutely. Any other feedback, questions, you want to add, discuss? Okay, so then that will bring us to, and again, we will be adopting those 4 goals. I can still edit we can edit that, and I say we can edit the action items at any time and update, and especially as we get to those meetings where we will be reviewing, that will be a great time to reassess, are we hitting those action items? Are there other ones that we have been? Are there other ones that we have been neglecting? That would be a perfect time to also have that discussion. So moving on to the last slide. Do we think we are ready to adopt the 2025-2026 board goals? Whereas the Hendrick Hudson Board of Education has engaged in thoughtful review and discussion to identify priority areas aligned with the district's mission, vision, and strategic plan. And whereas the board is committed to continuous improvement, transparency, and student success through focused goal setting and progress monitoring. Now therefore be it resolved that the Hendrick Hudson Board of Education will vote to adopt board goals, correct?
If the motion is moved to pass the resolution, yes.
So do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve Hendrick Hudson Board of Education board goals for the 25-26 school year.
Second?
All in favor?
Go.
Now therefore be it resolved that the Hendrick Hudson Board of Education hereby adopts the 2025-2026 board goals as presented to guide the board's work and district priorities throughout the academic year. Adopted this 22nd day of October 2025.
Well, good job, everyone.
Now, if we were not going to adopt them tonight, we would not have looked at this slide. We would have edited for the next one.
Or you could say with modifications.
With modifications we could have as well. Okay, is there anything else that we need to discuss for new business? Okay, and I know then our next piece is the committee reports. So we have quite a few, I believe, and I feel like we've just seen each other, but since that time we saw each other, I believe there have been quite a few meetings and committees that have met. So I'm just going to start on this side of the room and go around if you are the chair and want to speak out on any committees or PTA meetings or anything that you have attended that you would like to present any information. So I'm just going to start over here because I'm looking at you.
We had the NISBA advocacy business meeting vote on the 16th. The results were sent out to everybody who is a member of NISBA. So if anybody has any questions about that, let me know. That's it. It was very long.
How long? Because I believe we were bothering you.
6 hours.
Thank you so much for doing
But
that.
it was actually a lot of the things that the resolutions committee had recommended. People were speaking on behalf of the amendments they presented or the actual resolutions that they presented, and were able to actually change the outcome of the vote. So the reason I think it took so long was because there was so much good discussion in either direction, either in support of or in opposition of some of the advocacy resolutions, that people literally changed their minds and changed their vote. So while most things went the way that the resolutions committee had recommended, there were a few things that actually were changed or people's votes were influenced by the conversations that we had. So I loved doing it. It was very long, but it was extremely informative. So I appreciate you guys trusting me to vote on behalf of our board.
Thank
awesome.
you.
Yes. So much. And it's only once a year. So.
Alexis?
So I am the chair of facilities, but I don't think you need to hear too much from me. We had a lot of presentations tonight. A lot of our meeting was kind of like a free discussion of what we heard tonight about phase 1 wrapping up and entering into phase 2. And then the next item that I was going to mention was the EPC, but Anthony spoke to that. All the lights are in. They've done different things with the HVAC systems. There's new equipment being installed, software and fine tuning and all of that. So we're getting to the finish line of the EPC, which is awesome because this started literally on my first term forever ago. So that was really cool. We had some conversation in facilities around transportation. As we know, we're moving to eventually be electric buses, which the state is requiring, but this is years out. However, there's a lot of planning that goes into it. And the sentiment of facilities committee was like, this is a gigantic conversation. It's probably multiple meetings just on that topic. But it did come up. And then we are going to meet in a couple weeks to really make a schedule. Us board members, Amelia, Corey, and myself are the board members on facility. And being that facilities is one of our goals, we want to make sure that we're setting an agenda that is tailored to making sure that we hit our goals. So hopefully by the next time, not the next meeting, but the next one, we'll really have a schedule for the facilities committee and how we're going to tackle the goal and make sure that we're managing all things. I think that's it.
Excellent, thank you. Corey, any meetings for you?
I was also at the professional development committee meeting, but I wasn't sure if I'm the chair or not.
I think you are.
I am?
I think you are, yes.
I was I don't, honestly, Lauren explained sort of everything that we talked about in the meeting, because a lot of it was what they were going to be doing for the early release day, and it sounds like it went really well, and she's not here anymore, but she spoke about it earlier, and I believe the goal is for them to plan out a schedule for the entire year with activities that sync with things that we're doing in the community, like the math night and literacy night, and also to partner with the Hen Hud library, the free library, and so we were going to start a cadence of meetings, and I will provide an update next one.
Is there a running notes document for that committee?
What sort of running notes document?
There's an agenda that we're going to share. I think we're trying to figure out whether to do a shared like Google file that's going to just have all the committees on there on the bottom, and then everybody can just add, like the chair can just add whatever notes are in there, so everybody will have access to it. Yeah, so we're just
use the chart that has all of our names listed.
Yeah, exactly. And then we're going to just add it in there, and everybody can, whoever the chair is, they could just go in there and pop in their comments so that everybody gets an update based on what happens before or after the meeting.
Last year, there was a running document for the entire group, like an agenda document.
Yeah, that's what we're saying, that's what we're gonna...
You're talking about something we prepare, I'm talking about because that's not a board committee, right? That's a district committee?
Which one
Is it, so what
You're asking for what Lauren shared it?
Right, that's what I'm saying, like, because it's a district committee, so there should be a document of an agenda or notes taken during the meeting by the district.
Yep, Lauren does that.
Okay, so should that be shared with us?
Sure.
We can probably have a place on that, the shared document where we would include a link.
We would include it, correct. Yep, we could just include the link.
I mean, for now, I can just email it out.
Before, I have PTA related ones. Were there any other committees that met?
I had the safety committee.
Safety committee. Let's see, one thing they spoke about was implementing this digital hall pass pilot at the high school. So I think that's something that's gonna be looked into, where kids can sign themselves in and out to go to the nurse or the principal, library, cafeteria. So I'm sure people will get information on that, so it can track the kids better. They're also trying to come up with some different initiatives to share with the students, such as drug use, bullying, cyberbullying, different things to talk to the kids about. I also have a PTA update, but you can do yours first.
And then, Erica, did you have any committee ones? I know policy will be
No, I have
soon.
PTA.
PTA, okay. So we want to start with that and come back with PTA?
So we had the high school PTA meeting was, I think it was this Monday. It just feels like we were a very long week.
Sorry, that was last one.
It was the 14th. No, it was last Monday. And since then, we have had our first ever
basically a thrift sale during school for our students that was very successful yesterday. The kids just absolutely loved it. Lauren and I were there supporting it, and we're hoping to do another one in December, but I'm actually sort of kind of love to bring this to be like a regular monthly thing for the kids because I enjoyed it that much, but that's a whole nother thing. But there's a few things they're working on right now. So Monday is college parent panel night. The high school PTSA runs that. They invite parents that have gone through the college process to come and answer questions to the parents that are going through it, juniors and senior parents, but honestly, sophomore parents are welcome too, but it's really targeted towards junior and senior parents. I will be speaking on that panel. That's going to follow the financial aid night that the guidance department is running at 7 p.m. And then this meeting will be directly after that, probably around 8 a.m. at the high school auditorium. They have a Chipotle night on November 8th. The one by BJ's is what I'm told. And then they have a charcuterie night coming up on November 19th. So the high school is trying to get creative with the fundraisers that they do because it's really challenging for us because at the high school, especially because we're competing with elementary that's doing constant fundraisers. It's very difficult at the high schools. We're trying to think outside the box a little bit. And then the other thing is fashion show donations. So we have over 1,000 items, probably way more than 1,000 items, but we're trying to refresh those items. So the whole goal of here is to sell some of the older items that we really can't use, we really can't dress the kids in. But as we do that, we also need to replace some. So we're looking for anything because we can actually just give it back to the community, give it back to the kids at the end of the day. So we have a box set up in the high school. So that's the high school PTSA update. And then Lauren mentioned that the PTA Advocacy Committee had a meeting on Monday, a curriculum night. That was really well attended. I just want to thank them for organizing that. I think it really starting to think outside the box and get more parent engagement. And there was probably about 20, right, Lauren, on the call. There was about 10 people in the room and like another 10 or 15 on the call. So it was really well attended, really great, thoughtful conversations about where we're going this year. And they're planning one with Dr. Kleinman, our Director of Guidance, in January. Similar approach.
They record that and send it out?
I think they do record it, yeah.
Lauren said she did, and she's gonna put all the notes and questions she received and the answers in there as well.
Nice.
Just so everyone has it, and she's gonna share it out.
There was a slideshow that she did, but I think the advocacy committee actually does record it.
I attended the PTA elementary meeting. They spoke about a few upcoming events. As Lauren mentioned, there's going to be parent-teacher conferences coming up on November 4th and in the evening on the 29th. So you probably should have gotten your parent square today from the elementary schools. The Halloween parades are coming. So I believe Furnace Woods and BV are going to be at 9:30, but I think that's the time. FGL is going to be at 1:30, so get there early so you can park or walk. First grade went apple picking, so that was super cute. They're going to have a family fun night. I believe this Friday is a movie night at 6:30 at BV, right? Okay. The Haunted High School, that's like a high school thing as well, and then elementary thing on Tuesday the 28th, I think from 4 to 6? 4:30 to 6:30?
4:30 to 6:30, followed by the Pumpkin Pops concert,
Right.
which is open to the public. The Pumpkin Pops concert brings in our
Band and orchestra and our 8th grade students actually participate as well. So the Haunted High School is one of those events that I think is very original and specific to Hendrick Hudson. I think we're one of the only schools that does something like this, and it really does bring in like our preschool students all the way up through our high school students. So and the high school kids run it, and they split the proceeds amongst their clubs that participate.
And the high school kids can volunteer to work, so.
And decorate
that's good.
beforehand.
Yep.
They start decorating promptly 2:30.
And then there's going to be picture retakes for Furnace Woods and BV on November 6th and November 12th at FGL.
And I believe there's going to be bingo at FGL on November 21st, but don't count on me for that exact time.
Okay, I went to 2 PTA meetings. Last week I attended SEPTA, and they had representatives from Northwell Health who did a presentation on all the different services. If you don't know about it, there's a lot where there's a lot of services that the district has partnered with this this program, Northwell Health, that provides services for our students, including like doctor visits, and if, let's say, a student is in need of seeing like a specialist, a lot of times those are like months out, or sometimes could take like up to a year to get an appointment. Northwell Health can get you into an appointment much sooner, like immediately. And there's office spaces pretty local to here, and there's parent workshops, and I know that they also did a presentation for the staff, the similar presentation that the community got at SEPTA. There was a staff one, and they have a website, and I wish I had it on me right here, but they did have a website that, and you can reach out to anyone from SEPTA because they will gladly share it with you, that had a very comprehensive list of doctors and partners that they work with. Also for SEPTA, they have their Spirit Wear was still open. It was reopened, and it will be open till Friday. Their next meeting will actually be in conjunction with the Blue Mountain Middle School. That will be Wednesday, November 12th, and it will be at the Hendrick Hudson High School Library at 7 p.m. So that brings me to the Blue Mountain Middle School PTA, where they had a meeting last night. They are looking for more members. There is, we know that there's less students in the school this year due to one class being smaller, but it is, they're looking for more members, so please sign up, because all money that is received from there goes back to the school, and to the students, I should say. They will be having a Spirit Wear store that will be specifically for Blue Mountain Middle School gear that will be opening on Friday. It will be an online digital store. And I think they said it's never been done, or it's been a long time since it's been done, to have exclusive to Blue Mountain Middle School gear, so be on the lookout for that. They are also doing, I know we have a lot of these, like if you go eat around town, Thursday, tomorrow is Yucca's, starting at 4:30. Even if you get dinner to go and you mention it's part of Hen Hud, 15% of that goes back to the PTA. So go out to dinner with some friends, get kids together, or bring dinner back home from there. And they will be doing other ones later this year at Barnes & Noble in conjunction with Panera at the same time, so you can go get some books and then go get some food. And then I believe in January will be Buff City, December or January, I think it was January, there will be Buff City soaps, which is, stack up on your stuff. There is the Coin Wars that's still going on. Tomorrow, if you have a middle schooler, you can send them in with what's called sabotage money, where they can pick a class from their grade that the money that they bring in, even if, let's say I bring in a $20 bill and I put it to another class, that would be considered negative money to them, but positive to the pot. So you can sabotage. And then Friday is kind of like, I would call it Redemption Day, where this is the last efforts to build up for your, for yours there.
Sabotage?
Sabotage money. But you can only do it for your grade level. So if you are a 7th grade student, you can only do it to another 7th grade class. And they have a dance on Friday. $5, 6:30 drop off. And then there is the staggered pickup depending on the grade.
Can we share on the district, on our Facebook page, all the links for the people that sign up for our PTAs? Because I think they're all really looking for members. Is that possible?
Are we allowed to do that?
Yeah, we should be, yeah.
Yes, I've put them in my updates before. I'll make sure I do that.
Yeah.
Sabotage.
You put it at the very end.
No, I try to weave it into one of my themes.
Okay.
President Silverman, do you mind if I provide some brief updates?
You have to say point of privilege, I believe, correct?
That would be, that would technically be if I wanted a question of the order, the point of question.
No,
is question.
absolutely, go right ahead.
So, love the PTA updates. Just so everybody knows, I do meet monthly with the PTA Council, so that's the executive leaders of every PTA. I do try to make it to every PTA meeting, but if I don't, I do share information that I would have shared at those meetings with the PTA Council. Was very, very privileged to join the trunk or treat on Friday at FGL and saw a bunch of scary, but appropriate scary trunks that were a great community event. It was actually the first event in 2023 that I attended, so it's always nice to attend that. I was very honored to be invited by the HHEA to their family picnic this past weekend, and it was a great event where they're building up camaraderie and esprit de corps there, so it was nice to get to see people in a relaxed setting. Beautiful venue at the name escapes, St. George's Island Park. George's Island, sorry, not St. George's. George's Island Park. This Monday, I was not able to make a number of meetings because I was invited by the General Consulate of Finland to a meeting on the role of an approach to education by Finland. So I never had been invited to the General Consulate of Finland.
How many times can you say Finland?
Finland? Did I say it wrong?
No.
No, okay. Yes, but it was, I guess you were going there. So, but it was just nice to be there. So it was, I learned about the role that trust plays in their society and how they equate that to the direct and explicit teaching of happiness through instructional activities in their K through 12 education. So it was an interesting take. And in case you are volunteering, and I don't want to steal any thunder from Trustee Stanko, Trustee Mills, and Trustee Boudin, but I did ask to change the Centennial Task Force in anticipation of what I thought would be a need for a larger meeting. But I do know that the time capsule walkthrough will still occur this.
They're
this
both
coming
happening.
Monday. They're both happening. Oh, we went back to it.
We're going to keep the 5:30 walkthrough.
Okay.
We're going to do the 6 o'clock Centennial meeting, as far as I know.
Okay.
That has not changed.
Okay, great. So yes, we have not changed the Centennial meeting yet. So that's my update on events.
I was just going to say Finance Committee is going to start meeting soon, so get ready for all of our lovely presentations. Be excited. It's budget season.
I know, I heard there's a lot of meetings that were planned there.
Yes.
Anybody else have any other business items to discuss? Okay, so
Motion to close the meeting?
Second.
all in favor?